The next one was early extension I had. Did you want to go into anything else first, or did that work for you?
No, let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So everybody does that drill or thinks they should, where they're trying to like do the rotate. Oh man, almost broke my hand. They're trying to do all this rotation, but your video that we'll show right now shows that actually early extension is the only reason you might be hitting the golf ball. So what is kind of the secret to understanding early extension? Because I feel like most of us are not on the same page with it.
Yeah, for sure. So I will start by saying it is not always a bad thing. Like if you early extend a little bit and you hit the ball well, it is not a must fix. Like Scotty Scheffler is evidence of that.
Mm.
But for a lot of players that think the early extension is why they are hitting it bad, it is usually the symptom of something else earlier that is happening. So steepness is a huge one where if you get the club out in front of you and you're a little too steep, the early extension a lot of times acts as the club shallower. So if I get to a point where this club is, I'm going to choke down on this and I'll take out a light in the office. But if I get to a point where the club is steepening, kind of pitching out in front of me, and I keep my hips back and I keep my head down and I were to turn, that club continues even further out in front of me. I miss the ball every
You'd
single
miss the
time.
ball, right?
Right. So if that club is pitching out in front of us, early extension almost allows us to hit the brakes and pull this club to the inside. So you may get some flippier hooks or some blocks from getting jammed up, but it is the early extension that's allowing any of the good shots that you do hit to happen because you would miss it if you stayed in posture. So the priority is you have to get the club to shallow first, then you can start to stay in that posture a little bit better. Posture, like
So just to simplify it, you're too steep on the downswing, and early extension is the reason you're even able to hit the ball for not like for a lot of people.
exactly. Yep. It's gonna be the it's you're missing the shallowing piece, so your body
Hmm.
just athletically responds and throws it in on the downswing to try to get that club underneath and back behind you a little bit.
It's fascinating what the body does.
It's crazy. Yep.
Like you said, we're aimed 40 yards right, and it's like we got to pull this thing just to find where we're looking here, but we're aimed there. Same thing with this. Like, oh, there's so many players. I feel like that. I've definitely early extended for as long as I can. I used to get so much hate on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm like, whatever. I'm a plus handicap, not that bad. Clearly I can always get better, but that is one where I think I was trying to fix the early extension a lot too. Now that I think about it, but I always had an inside takeaway and probably got steep. So if I did fix the early extension, it wasn't going to go very well.
For sure. Yeah, and you can time it up and you can get to a point where it's playable for sure. But yeah, if you notice that you're steep, do not waste your time pushing the hips back and keeping the chest down and exaggerating that. It's not going to get you anywhere yet.
And so when you say steep, someone records their swing from down the line and they see kind of the club on the downswing, kind of like past their mid like bicep or mid upper arm, where it's kind of like,
Yeah. So by the time you get to about waist high, somewhere in that ballpark, you want to see that club falling close to your forearm. So steep
mhm,
would be kind of up in this position where that club is starting to work a little bit more out in front of us. So that's where that early extension will kind of drop it onto that forearm for us.
mhm.
But I will say video angle is huge with that because if you get the camera too low and you have that club in a really good position, as soon as we're looking at that from a lower point, it's going to make the
Hmm.
shaft look much steeper than it is. And if that camera is way up high, you can be steep, but the way you're looking at it makes that shaft appear lower than it is. So that camera's got to be right around mid torso high to get a good accurate look at that, pretty much right down that toe line, so you don't mask it at all.
Okay, so camera mid torso and then in line with your hands. Is that kind of
Yeah,
the
I like that. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think I've made that mistake before. Even the one I sent you was like not very good. I just was kind of
Right.
filming and I was like, damn it. All right, cool. So anything else with early extension? I mean, obviously that's kind of a symptom of usually an inside takeaway or something else that's making you get steep. But anything else you had about early extension?
So the club face can be another one. The club face being a little open, I will see players early
Hmm.
extend just because you early extend, it stalls the body out and it allows the hands to get a little bit more active. So it can act as a way for you to kind of hit the brakes and give yourself time to flip the club face. So that's one where if I am in a position where face is fairly open, even if that club is a little shallow, if you would never try to hit a golf ball with the face open like this. So as I
Hmm.
start to early extend a little bit, install the body, it gives us a little bit
Hmm.
more time to get a little scoopier with it, which can give that face some time to square itself up. So the open club face is another big one I'll see.
Okay. And open club faces that tend to be from a weak grip or inside takeaway or a little bit of both?
I would say it's either I would say the biggest three I'll see is that grip is a little bit on the weaker side. Players may have a little bit of a rolling tendency on the way
Mm-hmm.
back, which can roll that toe a little open and get that club working a little flatter on the way back. And then cupping of that left wrist, or that for a right-handed player, or lead
Hmm.
wrist. That's something that's typically going to get that toe to start to work a little bit more down on you. So those are going to be kind of the big three.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think that'll help people. So maybe early extension isn't the issue for a lot of players. It might be something to fix, but let's kind of get everything else cleaned up.
Yeah, I can count on one hand the number of players I've came across in the last 4 years that only had to worry about the early extension and not something else
Really?
before. Yeah, it's not very common.